All right, welcome to the show. Soccer fans, stay right where you are. Ali Wagner will be here to break down Argentina's huge win at the World Cup. Colin Cowherd is off today, so I'm joined by a couple of Super Bowl champs and heavy eaters, Brian Cox and Seth Joyner. They damn near broke me at Mastro's last night. All right, let's begin with the rapper T.I. Yes, you heard me. We're starting with Atlanta's T.I.P. He sat down for an interview on BET with ESPN's Jamel Hill and proclaimed that he's boycotting the NFL and Super Bowl 53, which will be played in Atlanta. Listen to this.
I have made a conscious decision not to support the NFL this year.
Well, explain what went into that decision and why you decided to do that.
Man, I think there's a violation of constitutional rights that's being implemented to minority players who choose to have a peaceful, silent protest. And I know that well, first of all, it's paid patriotism because they're paying the NFL to do the national anthem. So it's not really because you're doing it for the love of country, you're doing it for a check. So, it's really like you want us to shut up and take what we got coming to us in our communities, and that's not acceptable. And if that's what you think about us, then why should we really spend our money and show our extreme support of your corporation?
All right, T.I. believes NFL owners have violated the constitutional rights of their players by preferring them to stand respectfully during the national anthem or stay in the locker room. Hill, a journalist, did not correct the Trap House rapper. She and the crowd applauded T.I.'s nonsense and seemed to wildly approve of his idea of boycotting the NFL. Hill tweeted, "It will be interesting to see which, if any, Atlanta performers are asked to perform for the Super Bowl, considering T.I.'s influence on Atlanta musicians, will they choose not to perform if asked?" This, I believe, is the true legacy of Colin Kaepernick's anthem protest. He sparked two things: a national debate about the appropriateness of protesting during the national anthem, and two, he convinced black people that the American industry that has produced more black millionaires than any other industry is racist. Kaepernick did not raise awareness on issues related to police brutality. Kaepernick is a looter. He's burning down an industry that empowers black men. Kaepernick is a tool in the war on football. All right, Brian Cox, Seth Joyner, you dined on my money last night. Tell me right now what I'm wrong about here about Kaepernick's legacy and this stupidity that I'm seeing from T.I.
Well, first, I'm gonna take a stand against you saying the nonsense that Jamel Hill let go on. I mean, that's the conversation. So I don't think it's nonsense. You bringing up something. The one thing that I understand about black people more now than I ever did before is our buying power is real. What we did when you look at Black Panther, we can now dictate that you can't treat us any kind of way. That's the first point. But the second thing I want to go here, you said Kaepernick is nonsense. He's trashed it. It wasn't real. Look, he made a sacrifice by calling this a problem. When Muhammad Ali came out against the war,
Muhammad Ali.
Nobody thought that he was, at the time, nobody thought he was Muhammad Ali. Nobody thought he was that
at that time. The Vietnam War was an atrocity.
And
the
so,
NFL is not an atrocity.
Well,
You're comparing the Vietnam War
No, I'm not saying the NFL
anthem.
is an atrocity. What I'm saying is the lack of respect and human dignity for black people in this country is a problem. The oppression is as much a problem as Vietnam. Now, he's called the problem to it, but here's what I want to do. When I look at this, Jason, I say this. We've been stuck on this idea of getting into it with the president and politicizing this issue for so long. What can we do to change it? That's where I want to get to today in the conversation. To me, what we can do to change this thing is we can get our community to come together and try to bridge the gap as opposed to being apart and being against each other. So I would like to see players, black players in the NFL, get together with police departments and have some convict versus cops basketball games. Let's get to know the police officer. Not every cop is a bad cop. There are some very fine police officers out there, white, black, and otherwise. The problem is we don't know each other anymore. Back when we were growing up, street patrols, the cops would come and say, I'm gonna call your mom, I'm gonna call your dad. Now it's just straight business. It's just there's no faces to it.
Great suggestion, and I wish Jamel Hill had been interviewing you, because it doesn't sound like you would have been calling for a boycott of the NFL, which has 70% African-American players. This is stupidity, and I'm watching people applaud this stupidity.
Is it stupidity, though?
Boycotting the NFL.
Yes, is it? Because you can't let people treat you any kind of way.
What did NFL owners do?
Okay.
How have they treated us inappropriately, NFL owners?
They turned their back on the players last year, led by Jerry Jones and Bob McNair.
Oh, my God.
They turned their back
Brian,
on the
stop.
players, and now they say that it's not a cause, it's not a worthy call.
Brian, stop.
They turned their back on the players.
I'm gonna put you in timeout.
I'm just gonna go back to the original question. Okay,
Please.
Who really cares what the heck T.I. is gonna do?
Did you not see
I
people
saw it.
applauding?
I saw it, and I get your point, and I'm gonna get there. But my thing is, T.I. in that interview was like a politician. He was playing to his base. He was playing to those young people that listen to his music, so on and so forth. Okay, so at the end of the day, I haven't seen any stadiums in the NFL half full, three-quarters full. They've been full. Every game last year, full to capacity, okay? Nobody's gonna care whether T.I. shows up and supports the Atlanta Falcons or not. I don't care, okay? I get his point. He's welcome to his point. But my point is, at the end of the day, the game of football is gonna be fine without T.I.
I agree with you there, but this mentality, this arrogance that we have, that football doesn't need to be protected, defended, that we can allow people to do and say anything about football and there will be no repercussions. I reject that. There is a orchestrated war on football. T.I. is a pawn in that, and for T.I. to be sitting up there with a journalist, and particularly with a female journalist in this current environment, as if he has some kind of moral high ground and is being applauded by other black people and a black female journalist, is a joke to me, and it's dangerous for us as black people. An industry that has been so good to us and we're so dominant in that we want to take a dump on it because it feels good, because Colin Kaepernick can't take a knee anymore.
Jason,
that's a joke.
Jason, listen, our conversation last night and over the last couple of weeks has made me think about this situation and look at it in a different light. Because I think when you're young, you can't look at an industry that makes millionaires of people, and you can't look at it objectively and say to yourself, man, that's an industry that needs to be protected. These young guys that are playing now, they could care less about that. The only thing they care about is playing the game. So I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I'm telling you that I can kind of see where you're coming from and where you're going with a lot of the things that you're saying. But you kind of have to separate it because, you've got black professional athletes over here and you've got the black community over here that's struggling and dealing with what they're dealing with.
Well,
and without activism.
I know the community that I came from, and I know what football did for me. And I know what it did for you and you and everybody. And so I want more Brian Coxes, more Seth Joiners, more Jason Whitlocks to have the same opportunity that I had rather than us taking a crap on this industry. And we're sitting here letting a rapper, been in and out of jail, got songs about no mediocre, basically any woman that doesn't fit his standard of attractiveness, he don't want nothing to do with. And we sitting up applauding him like he's some kind of thought leader and some sort of important person. We can't fall for the okie doke. And Brian, to sit here and suggest that these NFL owners who were billionaires long before they bought an NFL franchise. Mm-hmm. So I hear, we made them this and that. No, they made their money elsewhere, bought a team as a luxury item and a toy, and yes, it makes some money. But let's don't kid ourselves that somehow they can't survive without us. Trust Paul Allen, Jerry Jones, Bob McNair, Dan, they all gonna be fine without football. But will we? I know I wouldn't be.
I like to say you make a very, very valid point. Two things, though, that I'm going to defend. I don't think that we have to tear down T.I. or any black person that's standing up saying that we have a fiduciary duty to stand up for our people. We can disagree on it, but here's the point that I want to make to a large degree, is we got to get off of this, whether the NFL is right, the NFL is wrong. We are called to action now. Colin Kaepernick, whether you agree, disagree, right, wrong, or otherwise, he called out this issue. Now, how are we going to fix it?
What issue?
That the oppression of black people.
He was the first?
No, but he was the one that took a knee and sacrificed that his job was taken away and he will never see another day in the NFL.
Kaepernick didn't do anything new that hadn't been being done a million times, and his reasons weren't very well articulated, justified, and wouldn't have done it had he not lost his starting quarterback job, and everybody knows this.
No,
everybody
I don't know
pretends
that.
like...
That I don't agree with, because, you know, since Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, Arthur Ashe, the political activists in the world of sports had disappeared. And we had people in the media, wait a minute. We had people in the media who were calling, who is going to be that voice? Who's going to be the Jim Browns
Call
of today?
someone qualified. Cap ain't
But
qualified.
Who are you to say who's qualified? That's not a fair assessment. That ain't right. but that ain't right.
You were a football coach, didn't you? Sometime you're not qualified to play linebacker. We're cutting you. I'm a critic. Colin Kaepernick is not qualified. He can't even stand up and defend himself. He won't even do what you're doing.
He's welcome to his opinion,
right? But
Brian. But at the end of the day, what he did was he shed a light on something that people wouldn't even look at.
That's my point.
Here's what he shed a light on: the national anthem. That's what people discuss. And now he has made black people think the NFL is hostile towards us, and has people talking about boycotting the NFL is stupid.
No,
it's an industry I guarantee you, if someone said, you know, we should boycott hip-hop, it denigrates black men and black women and black people continuously. If we sat up here, all three of us, and let's boycott hip-hop, T.I. head would explode, and we would be denigrated like, man, hip-hop's been this and that to us. How can we boycott hip-hop? Hip-hop can't hold a candle to what the NFL has done for black men. It can't hold a candle.
If he's shining a light on an issue, okay?
Who?
And if Colin Kaepernick shined a light on an issue.
About the national anthem.
And people, well, see, but that's where things get muddied. That's where things get muddied, because there's a method of how you do it, and there's a message, okay? And the message was hijacked because of the method. You forget a Navy SEAL told him take a knee.
Oh, quit with that, man. These are these talking points you're fed.
Hey,
did the Navy SEAL tell him to sit down and say, I won't respect a flag that oppresses black people?
If he sat down and nobody recognized it for all those weeks, and then all of a sudden when he took a knee, it became a major issue, there you go.
And here's my thing is, again, we've allowed the narrative to shift so much to a political thing. This country. We've allowed it to become such a political football that it's getting punted back and forth, that now, again, there is a call to action. We got to start putting into play where we are identifying how we can objectively interact with police officers, whether they come and speak at our church, whether they come to football youth programs, and we start making dialogue where we're talking. We got to start shifting this from the argument so that it can keep going back and forth to now let's come together to bridge the gap.
There are some
one of the best things
there are some players in the NFL that are doing this.
Right, and they're not getting covered. And they're not getting covered.
Well, because you know what? The media won't cover stuff like that. They don't want to talk about the feel-good stuff.
Listen,
they want to talk about the guy. They want to talk about the kid that gets pulled over, with a gun in his car.
Look. I love to blast the media, but blaming the media on this is foolish. Colin Kaepernick and a bunch of followers jumped in behind him on a method that distracted from whatever real issue they thought they were pointing out. It's the method, not the media, that's to blame for this. Brian, I wish you would go ahead and step out on a limb and say what you really know you should think. I don't know if you think it, but just know what you should think. Because you're saying exactly my point. Hey, let's do real things in the community. Let's do real things to bridge the gap, bring people together, and promote change. And you're not. And so just admit, T.I. talking about boycotting the NFL is stupid.
I'm not going to say that because he has his right
Okay, he has a right. I got a right to overeat, but it's stupid.
I don't think it's stupid because, you know, when this issue became an issue, the hypocrisy of all the people talking about the anthem and the kneeling, you could go to any stadium in this country in a football game and see people walking, talking, hats on, white people. Walking, talking, not paying any attention to the national anthem.
How much are they getting paid?
They ain't getting paid anything.
Oh, okay.
But they the same ones that are criticizing the guys that are getting paid.
Are they the star?
No, but if we gonna talk about
it, it's part of the TV show.
It's hypocrisy.
No. So what? There's a lot of hypocrisy. You know what? I tell people, you know what? You should exercise more and eat better. And then I do some hypocritical things like go to Mastro's and get the twice-baked potato. But it don't make me wrong. It don't make my advice wrong. And so the people that are being hypocritical and sometimes have their hat on, sometimes don't stand in full attention, they're still right when they say, hey, man, protesting during the national anthem is stupid, it's counterproductive, it's not helping anybody, it's divisive, it's the wrong strategy.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know the third verse of the national anthem?
Do they sing it?
No, but it's a racist guy that wrote the national anthem, so why should any black man stand for the national anthem?
Because Brian, let's say
he was talking about kill all the slaves and stuff when he was on the ship in Baltimore.
Let's say this: if I wanted to go down that path with you, under your theory, we should all leave the country.
No, hell no.
No. It was founded by people that owned slaves, Brian.
How's it founded by somebody when there was already people living here?
Brian.
What are you saying?
The country, the United States of America, is what it is today. Now, we can go all the way back in history, who did this, who did that. That's the history of the world. Check your Bible, any history book. And so it's not just limited to just white people. And so, again, if you go check the history of Africa and the atrocities that go on there and the people in Africa.
But we're in America.
I get it.
Right.
I get it. But we're trying to single out a single group of people as if they're the only people that have ever done anything wrong, and it's silly, it's inappropriate, it doesn't match up with what we're taught in the Bible, it doesn't match up with world history, so let's stop it and deal with the reality. And the reality is we shouldn't be boycotting the NFL. These guys need to get up off their knees and protest. How can I say
that?
Because I know what the NFL's done for you, and I know what football's done for me, and I know what it's doing for other black men, and we should, an industry that's treating us this well, providing this much influence, power, and putting us on this kind of pedestal, it's one of the few industries that puts us in a positive light. And you want to boycott it?
I agree.
But hip-hop and the music industry, we just give them a free pass and they can do and say anything they want about us, and we're all good with it. That's our black culture.
No.
Oh, they're great. He can come up with a song, No Mediocre, and Jamel Hill's like, oh, I love you. You're the greatest.
I didn't grow up hip-hopping and radioing. That's not my thing. I grew up playing football. And you're right. I owe my life and everything good about my life to the NFL. But it don't mean that it didn't come with some challenges and some issues. And I'm saying that I call those issues and those challenges out. I agree, the NFL has made more black millionaires than any other industry in this country, okay? But yet they're still a company with some flaws. And we can protest. It's American for us to protest and stand
Your
up.
wife loves you. I guarantee you there's some flaws there
Ain't no
she'd
doubt.
like to deal with.
Ain't no doubt.
But she still loves you.
Ain't no doubt.
She doesn't want to boycott you. We gotta go.
She boycotts me sometimes.
We gotta go. At Buffalo Wild Wings, we'll admit that we often go overboard with our limited time offerings. We just can't help ourselves. Take our new signature sampler. For $15, you get wings and 3 shareable options like fried pickles or cheese curds. Then there's our aptly named over-the-top nachos, a literal mountain of crispy tortilla chips loaded with your choice of pulled pork or honey barbecue grilled chicken, corn, jalapenos, and more. Then top it all off with our new platinum margarita. Go overboard with us today at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Available for a limited time while supplies last. Please drink responsibly. All right, welcome back. Joining me now are Fox soccer analysts Mariano Trujillo and Ali Wagner.
That was well done.
Let's talk some World Cup, where Lionel Messi finally scored a goal today, and Argentina was able to hold on to beat Nigeria. With the win and Iceland's loss to Croatia, Argentina will advance from the group stage. Guys, are you surprised they were able to save their World Cup bid?
I wasn't. I already had them advancing out of the group in my bracket, so thank you, Argentina, for answering the call. I really wasn't. I think, obviously, when you have Messi, you have one of the world's, if not the greatest player, and it was about him getting this unit together. It's not about Sampaoli, their coach. It's about Messi and his ability to rally the troops. At halftime, he was under the tunnel, and he was gathering everyone and being the leader that everyone thought he could be. And he finally got a response out of this group. It was emotional for them.
The knock on Messi has always been he doesn't care that much about the World Cup. That seems to be contradicted by his efforts today.
Well, I think he's been under a lot of pressure because he's the leader. We're expecting him to be the leader, but I'm not sure if he wants to be the leader that we want him to be. He obviously today he show up his skills. He stepped up for his teammates. He scored a goal, but I'm not sure if he's ready to be that leader, the leader we're expecting. For example, a Michael Jordan, a LeBron James, being vocal, being physical. He's a different type of leader. He has a different personality. That role, it's played by Mascherano, and I think together they're good leaders. But today, Lionel Messi did what he's supposed to do, score a goal and move forward.
Listening to Mariano, to me, it sounds like Ronaldo is the better player.
What?
Than
No.
Messi.
What?
These guys are on a collision course, maybe in the quarterfinal. You don't hear that as a knock on Messi and that Ronaldo, the way he's played?
They're completely different players, right? So Ronaldo is a man with ice in his veins that steps up in big moments. Messi, he can step up in big moments like he did today with his goal, but he's also a creator. And the rest of the team kind of sits back and lets him take over. With Ronaldo, the rest of the team provides for him. And so I think they're two different players and the way they go about it.
All right, let's move to a huge matchup tomorrow in Group F with Mexico taking on Sweden. Mexico has been impressive so far, beating Germany and South Korea, and can win the group with a win or a draw tomorrow, but they can actually still be eliminated if they lose and have never won 3 straight World Cup matches. Mariano, you expect Mexico to have a letdown against Sweden?
I think they've been playing really well. I think there has been a lot of pressure from the media, from former players, former coaches. They didn't believe in this team because of the coach, because of Juan Carlos Osorio. He has done an amazing job during the World Cup, and the team is together. They don't care about what's happening outside, but inside. So I believe even though they haven't won 3 straight games in a World Cup, they're going to do that tomorrow, and they're going to advance as first in the group.
Ali, I want to give you the final word on this. Should we as Americans be rooting for Mexico? Are you on Team Landon Donovan, or are you on?
No. Don't, I'm not choosing any Team Donovan here. I'm for the beauty of the game. I'm for.
Should we be rooting for Mexico?
I'm for celebrating.
You say no?
No, I mean, I like, it's the biggest rivalry. It's okay if you are supporting the United States and you're not supporting Mexico. Actually, it's even better if you want Mexico to be out of the World Cup. I like that because that's good for the rivalry. That's good for the sport. It's just sports. It's just soccer. So I don't believe Landon. I like Kobe Jones. I like Boca Negra. And if it was the other way around, I won't be rooting for the U.S.
I'm sorry. I'm rooting for Mexico.
Hi, I'm Alexi Lawless. I used to play soccer back in the 1900s for the U.S. Now you can find me talking about soccer this summer during the World Cup on Fox. Now through July 15th, you can get daily FIFA World Cup updates from me through your Alexa-enabled device. Just say, Alexa, play the Fox Sports Flash Briefing, and you'll get the latest tournament news straight from Russia. Alexa and Alexi. Now that's a winning team. Don't forget to watch the 2018 FIFA World Cup all tournament long live on Fox and FS1.
Let's move to Jerry Rice, who just appeared in ESPN the magazine's Body issue and said that at 55 years old, he believes he can still play in the NFL. Seth, is he delusional or is he taking a little pot shot at the NFL?
It might be a little bit of both. You know, I mean, the game has changed. I can't imagine Jerry Rice in today's game with guys not being able to bump at the line of scrimmage. But at the same time, at 50, how old is he?
55.
55 years old? Come on, man. I play basketball with my son. I got to watch, make sure I don't step the wrong way and tweak something.
I think he's also saying you can run over the middle unmolested now in the NFL. And I think he's taking a little pot shot.
A little bit.
The game's easy.
A little bit.
All right, to Nick Foles, whose new book about his improbable run to the Super Bowl. The book is called Believe It, and I can't believe Foles stayed in Philly as a backup to Carson Wentz. All right, Seth, you think Wentz will read Foles' book?
Well, absolutely. They're great friends. There's no animosity between the two of them. Nick Foles,
Why would he be upset?
Well,
Nick Foles is too wimpy to go after his job.
Nick Foles knows that it's Carson Wentz's job. He knows that he's the future of the franchise. Plus,
One guy knows he's MVP of the Super Bowl, and the other guy's not.
They had him under contract for another year, so it wasn't.
Some guy wasn't man enough to go take Wentz's job like he should have.
Because he can.
All right, welcome back. Doug Gottlieb is back. We're joined now by Super Bowl champion and my nemesis, Brian Cox, and the NFL Network's Bucky Brooks. Let's move to Texas, where according to a new poll, support for the NFL is surprisingly low. As Clay Travis pointed out this morning on Outkick the Coverage, the poll shows that 47% of the registered voters in the state have an unfavorable view of the NFL compared to just 26% who view the league favorably. I think this is an ominous sign for the NFL. If you go read the report and any interpretation of the report, this national anthem controversy is souring people on the NFL, and you can't irritate your fan base this way without there being repercussions. And if you lose Texas, that's an indicator. That's the most football-loving state there is on the planet. You lose Texas, that's a sign you could lose everyone else, weaken your support, make the NFL less popular than it has been. It's a bad sign, and to me, it's just another indication that the Kaepernick protest has blown up in the very players' faces and in the league's face.
Look, I agree with the premise that the Kaepernick thing has created, and look, politicians, specifically President Trump, has used it for political gain, smartly so. He knew it was a winner for him, and he kind of woke it back up when it was starting to kind of go away. I will point out that having read the entire report, it's mostly political questions. It's the only sports question, and there wasn't any context to, well, do you like high school football? Do you like college football? Like, are you not a football person?
I think it said in there that they liked NFL. I mean, they like college and high school football still just as much. I read the
right,
report.
but some of that is Texas. Like in Texas, high school football still is big. But
the Cowboys also are in Texas.
The point is,
pretty big.
and they have won a Super Bowl, and everything's different when you win a Super Bowl.
Cowboys.
Okay, it is the Cowboys. But the last part is, look, the customer is right, and that's what Jerry Jones was saying, and that's what Bob McNair is saying, is that you don't have to agree with the customer, but the customer is right, and enough of them have told us you got to stop protesting the flag.
Man, I don't believe it.
You don't believe the poll?
This poll is a flawed poll, okay? First of all, you did it in Austin, Texas, which nobody in Austin, Texas goes to Dallas to football games or to Houston to a football game. They stay there in college. They don't go to those games.
No one in Austin goes to Dallas.
Not many
City
people.
Cowboys.
I would doubt that many of these people from Austin
I
paid.
think
It was
they polled
1,200
the
people.
Entire state, not
No,
just
no,
people
no,
in
no.
Austin.
No. They did Austin, Texas, 1,200 people, 53% of them women. All right, 42% of the people not even from the state of Texas. So I reject this. I don't buy into this thing. And you know, anytime
You going fake news on us? Is that what you're doing?
well, I don't believe in that because I'm not starting that shenanigans either. But I don't buy this poll. Yeah, I reject it. One of the guys involved in this thing is writing a book, and he's trying to fester up. Like you said, to your point, outside people now are trying to take on the top dog so they can take a bite out of football. This poll is not a poll that anyone should give any credence to say this is whether or not people like. What I would like to see is a poll from people that purchase football tickets. I want to see the super fan. I want to see their opinion. Some casual fan on the outskirts.
They spoke pretty loudly last year. If you looked around, there was a lot of stadiums that had empty seats last year during the regular season.
Well, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to believe anytime you have registered voters, it's always going to be split because the vote is always skewed. Minorities don't typically vote in the same numbers as white people. And when you also look at the poll, 55% of white registered voters chose unfavorable. When you look at the minorities, 24% of black respondents, 39% of Hispanic respondents. This has always been about, when you look at the league, a league that is 70% black, when you have those guys take a stand and do all those things, it is going to fall down racial lines. And so when President Trump made this a big issue, he knew exactly what he was doing to rile up his fan base. That is why we're seeing the negative attachment, because it's a win for him. He said it to Jerry Jones. It continues to be a thing that he can always go back to rile up his fan base.
Let me accept, and let me just accept everything you just said. Okay, that's factual. Are you contending that they have not weakened people's perception of the NFL, the fan base? Take the color out of it, the fan base of football fans, they've got a more unfavorable opinion of the NFL.
I think there are a couple things at play. I believe there's a war in football. Outside of the anthem issue, when you think about the concussions and everything that has been introduced, there has been fear spread about the game. And so when you have that, when you have the attack, of course there's going to be a weakening, particularly amongst educated people who are worried about little Johnny playing the game. And so, yes, there has been that, and that has affected some of the stuff that we've seen following football.
Have we talked about, in high school, the sport that is the most dangerous sport of any of the sports that we play? Cheerleading. Cheerleading has more injuries than any sport. But like you say, it's an attack on football, but we don't discuss the cheerleading. And I'm with you on that point. I've been very hard on you about, the football. It has created a lot of millionaires. It's a very good industry for black folks, for sure. And we have to be careful about attacking it. But there are some things that I'd like to see done differently. So I give you that point. I think your 3 days has worn me down.
I'm glad you're giving me that point, Brian, but I just want you to concede the point. And Bucky, and Gottlieb, I think you're already there. This national anthem protest, it was a mistake.
No, I don't
It was a mistake. It has damaged your customer base, and it has not created the awareness that you think it has about police brutality.
I think it's actually, first it created awareness. The problem was...
It didn't create awareness.
Hold on.
It did not create...
It
started a conversation about the national... Man, let me tell you how long black people have been talking about police brutality. Since the beginning of America. We've been talking about ad nauseum. When NWA came out with a song about police brutality.
Jason, you're not wrong, but it wasn't in Maine. We're still talking about the Kaepernick thing. He ain't playing football for a year.
And they've been talking about the national anthem the entire time.
I understand, because
I've been hosting this show the entire time the thing has been going on. No one on TV has been talking about police brutality. They've been talking about the national anthem controversy.
Because you didn't let me finish.
Because you didn't let Brian answer my question. You cut him off and injected something else. But go ahead.
The point was simply this. It wasn't anything wrong with the protest. It was the guy who was leading it, because he didn't know how to stay on message. And he had the pig
He never came with a message that resonated with football fans and the customer base that he was trying to move. We keep making excuses. It was poor strategy. Anybody with a brain could see it was poor strategy. They started a conversation about the national anthem, not about police misconduct. Poor strategy. Let's quit making excuses. Let's quit blaming the media. If you do something in the middle of the national anthem, don't be shocked that people talk about the national anthem.
Let me take this avenue, okay? It's been reduced to a black problem. We know when things are reduced to a black problem, nothing ever gets done. Okay, let's deal with that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, like you said, let's get over that conversation about the national anthem. Let's move forward. How about we take another look at another strategy that the NFL may be incorporating and saying, we got 3 years until the CBA comes up. How about they start talking about, fans are turned off by it, stadium costs are going up again, blackouts. This is about the time the NFL starts trying to put it in the public's mind that, we potentially could lose money, so that when the CBA comes up, they can take care of that. How about we look at that angle? That's
a very good point. It's very factual. It is going to happen. NFL, and this is why, again, I'll go back to it, and we got to end here, and I'm sorry. This is why I think it's a mistake, because NFL players are going to get drilled in this CBA. There will be no widespread public support. They will get hammered because the NFL owners will hold it over your head. You dirtied up our brand with that national anthem thing. Now take whatever it is we give you, and DeMaurice Smith will fold because he's a bad leader, and Gene Upshaw was the best guy that's ever led the NFLPA, and we criticized him and ridiculed him, and now they got a clown running the NFLPA, and they're going to get slaughtered when the CBA comes up. All right, welcome back. Doug Gottlieb, Brian Cox, and Bucky Brooks are back. Let's return to the NFL, where Jimmy Garoppolo clocked in at number 90 on the NFL Network's annual list of top 100 players, despite only playing 5 games last season. And the guy who ranks 17th on that list, cornerback Jalen Ramsey, is offended that a guy with so little experience was ranked so high, claiming Jimmy G's success was more about scheme than skill. Completely disagree with Jalen Ramsey here. This team couldn't win a game, and Jimmy Garoppolo takes over at quarterback, and they win 5 straight. It's San Francisco. We've been watching them get their butts kicked for the last 2 or 3 years. We saw their offense look pathetic. I don't see, I'm just sorry. Jimmy G in 5 games established himself to me as one of the top young quarterbacks in the league. I can't knock him. I don't think he's overvalued, overrated at all.
Neither do I. I think 2 things. One, the division he played in was a little bit down. Seattle wasn't the juggernaut that they were before. LA played really well, and then Arizona was just a team. So the competition, the 5-0 start was really good. The thing about the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were number 2 in scoring defense, number 2 in total defense. That was a really good defense. But I don't know any quarterback that is not scheme-driven. Every offense in the league is a scheme. So to say that is kind of like, duh. Jacksonville's defense is very good, but I can give this guy credit. They're only going to improve as he gets better weapons around him. Kyle Shanahan is a very good offensive coach, so they'll do a really good job. And I think because of the division, I think he'll do a really good job. So Jalen's a little off base here to me.
I'm surprised that you would take that take because being a defensive coach, you know, the second go-around, when you've seen the guy, now we have an opportunity to really see what he is. Look, he was hot for 5 games. You didn't have any film on what they were doing with Kyle Shanahan, how he was going to use him, what his hot spots are, what his weaknesses are. I think this will be the year when we see how good is Jimmy Garoppolo really, because the book will be out on him. Everyone will be able to dig into him and how he plays in that scheme. And then we'll be able to see how does he adjust to the adjustments.
Overvalued, in your opinion?
A little bit. To be one of the top guys already, we've seen 5 games. I just think it's early to say that because if we go all the way back and we'll use your guy, Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick played well for a year. We were ready to say that he was the next coming. And then over time, we would say that some would say he's not that quarterback. Maybe it's the same with Jimmy Garoppolo.
To make your point, they start out in Minnesota on the road, at home to the Lions. They go to Kansas City, then they go to the Chargers. Okay, those are at least 2, if not 3 playoff teams.
Oh, this year.
This year.
Yeah.
So there will be some truth serum as to exactly how good he is. But I think it's more than just his production. And he was helped out by the NFL Films thing where he's mic'd up, where we understood that it wasn't just he was out there playing. He had prepared. He led. He knew how to tell the wide receivers where to be, and the ball was exactly where he said. It was really kind of remarkable and eye-opening to watch that a guy had that much command and control for a completely different offense in that short a period of time. And I think NFL players are smart. They watched the NFL Network. They saw that video and like, this dude looks and feels like a dude. Now, look, if you really want to break down the rankings, they got Carson Wentz 3rd. He's coming off an ACL injury. He's been in the league for a year and a half.
Hey, man, let me tell you, that guy's a deal.
No, anyways. Okay,
he's the truth.
He's ahead of Aaron Rodgers? You'd rather have Carson Wentz than Aaron Rodgers? Right now.
Here's what I'm going to say about that. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in football, period. But he missed most of the season with the shoulder. Carson Wentz, before he went down with the knee injury in the playoffs, that is a football playing Jesse. Don't underestimate how good that guy is.
Gotta go back to Jimmy G. Your point about Colin Kaepernick, because I remember Ron Jaworski said he could be the greatest quarterback. I was right there with him. I thought, man, this dude may be the next John Elway. And Jim Harbaugh went away, and it all evaporated. One, Kyle Shanahan, I don't think is going anywhere.
No.
So Jimmy G will have that benefit. And 2, I just think Jimmy G is not a guy that made plays with his feet the way that Kaepernick did.
No.
Kaepernick bailed himself out a lot of times with his feet.
Absolutely, and I think some of that is, but I think the more film that you get on people, the more film that you have on Shanahan and how he's using his personnel at San Francisco, the more film you have on Jimmy Garoppolo and where he likes to work areas of the field, I think you will see defensive coordinators attack him differently. And then the test of time will be, if he can adjust to the adjustments, then you anoint him as one of the best in the game. That's what it comes down to.
I believe that he'll do that because sitting behind Tom Brady, here are your options. You either could have drafted a guy in the first round or you could have got a guy that had a little bit of experience. He had a 3-game sample, not big. But to Doug's point, to get a guy to come in halfway through the season at the trade deadline, learn offense as well as he learned offense, Name who he threw the ball to. I don't know anybody on that.
No,
roster.
that's the thing. They had no players. That's what Jason's point was. Like, I'm with you. I mean, how many times have we seen a quarterback have one really good season? But it was pretty amazing, the change from the worst team in football to a team that's probably better than at least 2 to maybe 4 playoff teams by the end of the year when they had Jimmy G.
All right, sticking in the NFL, the NFL Network's David Carr just released his list of top 10 QBs in the league. While the top 2 of Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers is pretty predictable, there's one surprising absence, Ben Roethlisberger. As Carr explained, quote, yes, Big Ben's a future Hall of Famer, and there's no doubt he can still help the Steelers, but he has the most talented skilled players in the league on his unit, and that pair, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, makes him look great 14 seasons in. I don't think Big Ben could win a ton of games without them at this stage in his career. Big Ben's my favorite player in the league, has been for years. He and Colin Kaepernick before Colin Kaepernick went woke. And so I agree with David Carr here. I love Big Ben, but I think it's over. I do think Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell are carrying him, and they had Martavis Bryant. I do. He has the best personnel in the league, and he hasn't done with it what he should have done.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, to me, what quarterback is successful without a tandem? You look at Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison connection. You look at Edgerrin James and Marshall Faulk before him.
Tom Brady.
You look at Tom Brady and Julian Edelman was his guy.
But he was.
You compare Julian Edelman to Antonio Brown.
It's a system. It's a system thing. And all I'm saying is, you look at the big 3 in Dallas. Every great quarterback has had either a run game or 2 really good receivers that he could throw to that they were really good. Look at Marino, Duper, and Clayton. Look at Kelly, Tariq,
Look
or
at that
Thomas.
interception he threw at the end of that game, and then tried to blame the coaching staff.
Everybody fell on Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense carried them. It wasn't an offense. They had a good running game, and they had a really, really good defense that could sack the quarterback and that could play the run, that didn't give up points. People undervalue what Jacksonville did.
I love Big Ben.
They did a great job.
Look, I mean, I think there's some truth to what David Carr said. I do believe he's playing with 2 of the best at their respective positions. Antonio Brown is probably the best wide receiver in the game. Lev Bell is the best running back.
Julio.
Yeah. Whoa. I mean, like, look, I think you can go 1A, 1B. I don't think you can just make it unanimous that he is better.
You better double cover Julio. Julio is a grown
Antonio Brown, 5 straight years with 100-plus catches.
We're doing the Jordan LeBron. We're doing the Jordan.
Oh, we ain't, because they're in the same history.
I'm just saying. So with Ben Roethlisberger, look, he has been productive, but he is playing with a great supporting cast. And when you really look at the prime of his career, he had the benefit of playing with the best defense in football. That defense ranked either first or second in the league for 8 to 10 years. So he has been one of the best, but I think you have to judge him differently than Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady, because they do more with less than Big Ben.
I agree with that, but he put his brother in there, right? So you telling me his brother's better than Ben?
I wouldn't say that his brother.
Well, that's what he said. He said his brother's 4.
He should have taken his brother off the list.
Absolutely.
That hurt the list. He also didn't have Carson Wentz on that list, but it's because he hadn't played enough and he was coming off an ACL injury.
Big Ben's overrated.
No way.
At this point.
Yeah, he's not a top 10 quarterback. I mean, he's
that defense fell off.
Look, the defense, that's when they lost the Super Bowls, when Ryan Shazier got hurt. But again,
Big Ben makes mistakes.
Big Ben, he's not the quarterback that you think he is. It's like when people think that LeBron James is still a great defensive player. Like 5 years ago he was. Now he's taking plays off. Ben Roethlisberger is not what he was. Look, Eli has faded. Philip Rivers has faded some.
He ain't Eli.
No, I know. But considering
that's a shot.
Yeah, they both have 2 Super Bowls.
That's a shot.
Let me break it down to you this way, okay? And I don't want to be arrogant saying this, but from a statistical standpoint, you could be right. But I'm saying facing a guy when you have to play a guy. My recent coaching experience, before I was fired from Atlanta, playing, would you rather play Ben Roethlisberger or would you rather play David Carr? I'd rather play David Carr. I don't want to see
Carr.
Derek Carr.
David Carr, you're in really good shape.
Yeah, you play David too in really good shape. But the Carr, bro. So when you're playing against a guy, I'm taking the statistics out. I'm saying who can beat you.
That's fair. So Russell Wilson, who would you take?
I'm playing Russell over Ben.
Okay, Matt Ryan, who would you take?
I'm taking Ben. I'd rather play Ben because I don't want to see
Oh, that's
Matt
a
Ryan.
powerful statement. Oh, but hold for 1 second. Here's what I think you're caught up in, Brian, and I don't, no slight, but you were one of the most physical, emotional players the NFL's ever had. And you like that about Ben Roethlisberger, that as a quarterback, he has your same type of mentality. You respect that. I think that's what makes you overvalue him a bit.
I respect it, and then I take the player hat off and put the coach's hat on, and I say, you know, if we had to go and win a game to go to the Super Bowl, would I rather see Ben Roethlisberger, or like you said, some of the names you threw out? I don't want to see, you know, Aaron Rodgers. Ben would be he'd be a deal to deal with. I'd rather see Russell Wilson. Ben can beat you in some ways because he's big, he's strong, he's a stature in there, he's going to take the hit, he's tough. Some of the attributes that you say, but also the guy can pull a win out the game when in a close game in the cold weather.
No, he's incredibly tough.
It also helps to have Lev Bell and 84 on the outside to throw to. Like, you have to worry about all the other stuff that comes with him. I think with the other guys, and I think when we're looking at quarterbacks on their own, I think you can put Tom Brady anywhere and he's going to be able to be successful because we've seen him do it with a bag of bolts in New England.
I would agree with that, but I would disagree. You could put anybody in that offense and they excel. Look at Castle. What kind of big contract he get when he played in the same system?
That was a mistake.
No, that's a Bill Belichick. You can put any quarterback in there, and they're going to figure out a way to win because you're going to run. They only have 5 plays. People don't realize that. They call 5 plays depending on where you are in the area of the field. So while you got 10 defenses trying to stop the 5 plays, over the accumulation, they like to talk about we run these plays thousands of times during the year so we understand where everybody fits and where everybody's going to be. While you got all these smart guys trying to come up with all these defenses and these blitzes, they only run 5 plays in whatever part of the field they're in. That's the genius of their offense.
But getting back to Ben Roethlisberger, I do think that some of the things that allowed him to be so successful in the main part of his career are some of the things that brings him down. He does hold on to the ball, and he is tough, but that causes him to throw picks. And when you have 2 absolute freaks, I mean, Antonio Brown is open no matter who is on him. It's crazy. And Le'Veon Bell can hit you running the football or catching the football. He's amazing. And I think all David Carr is saying is like, look, all of these other guys on this list, you put them in the same offense with those 2 guys, they're going to excel as well. And they're making him look better.
We got to go.
Actually playing.
We got to go, and I'm so glad it's over. Brian Cox is out of here. We'll never see him again. It's driven me crazy. Welcome back. Doug Gottlieb is here for time for last call. Let's move to the NBA, where the parents of former Duke star Wendell Carter just put Coach K on blast, saying he misled them about what their son's role would be and hurt his draft stock. Carter was just drafted 7th by Chicago, 5 spots behind teammate Marvin Bagley. Doug, you buying what the parents are selling here?
No, he was recruited to Duke. When you recruit somebody, you tell them the best possible chance of what it's going to look like. And by the way, at the time, Marvin Bagley was going to go to his senior year in high school. So it was true at the time, and then Marvin Bagley decided to go to Duke. And by the way, it worked out for both of them. One's the 2nd pick, and one's the 7th pick. And the crazy thing is his mom, Jason, his mom, just before he declared for the draft, said, hey, Wendell loves Duke. He's 18 years old. He wants to be a kid. I think he should stay. Now, all of a sudden, she's the one criticizing Mike Krzyzewski for his time on campus. It's kind of speaking out of both sides of your mouth.
Can Duke not be accused of over-recruiting, though? I mean, that's not a legitimate complaint.
It's a legitimate complaint, but what about the complaint for the guys that were already at Duke, not just the freshmen? It's all one same freshman class. You get to play right away.
All right. We'll see you next week. We're off.